Hello and welcome to Rajya Sabha TV. Today we have a very senior historian, eminent historian, Professor G.V. Naik with us. Professor G.V. Naik is former president of Indian History Congress. He is a retired professor from Mumbai University. He was heading the history department there. Professor Naik, when we talk about our freedom movement, our struggle for independence, there is a very critical and very important role of mass media, of journalism, of publications. How you see that role?
Indian national movement, liberation movement, had two interrelated goals. One was to activize Indian people to put an end to the oppressive colonial rule. And second was to create a new life, a new society on the basis of certain ideals. These ideals, in the words of Justice Mahadev Govind Ranade, a man of massive intellect and comprehensive vision, who followed Raja Ram Mohan Roy and anticipated Mahatma Gandhi, said the mission and the message all of reform movement in this movement was to humanize, equalize, spiritualize. Great words. So much so that when I said this in the Ramakrishna Mission, Dr. V.K.R.V. Rao was our education minister. He came running and said, "Where do you get these words?" If really our Constituent Assembly people knew about it, they would have preferred to put these words in the preamble of the Indian Constitution. Humanize, equalize, spiritualize. See, the most important word in our preamble, first state preamble, is justice. Justice, social, economic, political, which was not there. And I must say that our media, particularly press, played very vital role in Indian struggle for independence. Right. Really speaking, in Bengal, Amrit Patrika, and Maharashtra, particularly, it started earlier period, before 1857. Balashastri Jambekar, who started the first Marathi newspaper, Darpan, Bombay Darpan, both bilingual, but then Bahu Mahajan, it's not much known, that he started three. One is Prabhakar, second is Dhumketu, third is Dhyan Darshan. Prabhakar was one. That's where he even serialized the French Revolution, history of his French Revolution. Probably wanted to suggest to people that too much oppression breeds the revolution, right? This is exactly what is happening under colonial rule. At that time, he was slowly bringing out these ideas, and then at the same time, he also published a book in Marathi. That's the first book possibly on political economy called Hindustanची प्राचीन व सांप्रतची स्थिती आणि पुढे काय त्याचा परिणाम होणार याविषयी विचार. In other words, India past and present and its impact on the future. That was the first book. And this book was dedicated to people of India, not Maharashtra or anything. And these were the people, before 1857, were probably, another one was Bhaskar Tarkadkar. See, not entire Anglo-Indian press, sometimes Anglo-Indian press also was favorable. They allowed
to the Indian people.
Indian people. Bombay Gazette for 1841, he became daily, and that is one of the oldest newspapers right from the time the French Revolution started, and they asked to come out openly with their ideas, and the grievances against the British rule. And a number of letters came under various pseudonyms, like philanthropy, a fair heart, a Hindu, a second Hindu, a third Hindu, fourth Hindu. And these writers were writing under a pen name of Hindu, was an uncompromising rationalist. He was not saying it any communal sense of the term at all. Because what happened, in 1817, a book came from James Mill. He condemned everything Indian. And that book, The History of British India, he periodized Indian history on communal lines. He called it Hindu period, then Mohammedan period, Thank God he did not call it English period.
English period.
He called it British period, right? This is something which he did. And he wrote, he said, the Hindu like the eunuch excels in the quality of a slave compared to one. Everything Indian he condemned in this to counteract the disparaging account of James Mill. They wrote under a pen name of a Hindu.
At the same time, Beto is traveling from west to India and he is documenting 1857 mutiny.
That little later. This is 1841 I am talking, 1841. At that time, this man, this editor who was a pro-Indian liberal editor, and he allowed, and he published these letters on Bhaskar Pandurang Tarkadkar, and his brother was Dadoba Pandurang Tarkadkar. He is also known as Panini of Marathi grammar. He was a great scholar and he started anti-caste movement. They really wanted to bring about total revolution. The first man said that we cannot look on our government in any other light than that of the most bitter curse India has ever visited with. He never called it divine providence. Many other lecturers here said about British rule, divine providence. He said no, it's the most bitter curse India has ever visited with. And he proved them by writing long 8 letters in which they were like not letters though written under heading correspondence. They were like lead papers, editorial page, lead articles. These were published by him. He said, you are ungrateful wretches. You are great from India and India you are ruined. In England there would not have been industrial revolution at all. James Watt and his steam engine would have disappeared only on paper. But for the money, you have used India as a pagoda tree. All the money was taken from here. That is why you could do it. You drained us. They were forerunners of Dadabhai Nauroji's drain theory. This Bhaskar Tarkadkar, see, after that, the editor wrote, we are delighted to read the lucubrations of a Hindu. We wish many more Hindus were to take up their pains in defense of their rights. And then wrote a second Hindu, right? He said, about first Hindu, he said, I hail thee Hindu, you are born the Martin Luther, not to bring about religious, but political information in the natal land. Third Hindu called his letters as eloquent epistles of a second Junius. See, in England, one Junius was writing letters against the British Indian councils, George III. He said,
exactly, that's what we want to know now because Karl Marx is writing about the mutiny. Time magazine is publishing reports about the mutiny and uprising in India.
That's right.
And other journals are also coming up, but they are both kind of reports. They are fully about how the Britishers are good and how these sepoys of mutiny are bad and brutal. They have mentioned the events of Lucknow, Kanpur, and Meerut as well. I just want to know that how the world media is looking to the developments and to the uprising and to the mutiny, whatever we call it.
No.
How the world media is responding to a big thing happening here.
Look, up to 1857, for some time the press was free, right? In India, Charles Metcalfe liberated the press in the year 1835. He was punished. He was not made Governor General. He was acting Governor General. Acting. But he was punished. They said free press and foreign rule will go together. They cannot go together. You made him. But what happened? After him, those Governors General who succeeded him, easygoing Auckland, flamboyant Ellenborough, war veteran Harding, and imperious Dalhousie did not pay very much attention to the press. During that time, literature that came, this Bhaskar Pandurang Tarkadkar, who published these 8 letters, anti-British, you see, during that period. Bhau Mahajan wrote during that French Revolution, all that during that period, they had done it. Otherwise, it would not be possible. After writing, that editor was removed. There was a revolt in the Anglo-Indian community here. What kind of letters are you publishing? Of his. So much so under so much pressure from Calcutta, Mumbai, Madras, all Anglo-Indian committee rose in revolt as one person against him, and that editor had to be was removed. pro-Indian liberal editor, you see, of Bombay Gazette was removed. And again, by and large, Anglo-Indian press, you see, was not for us, or our press, which said, this is wrong. Today, the modern research shows us that it was not merely Shivapoy Mutuni. What V.D. Savarkar had written in 1905, that book, was a first Indian War of Independence. More or less, historians have come to that conclusion. It was not merely a mutiny, it was a great uprising where there was also people's participation. And it is wrong on their part to dismiss it as merely Shivapoy mutiny, right? But at that time, press was not free. They could not come out openly. It's once again the same issues were taken up in a big way by Lokmanya Tilak in his Kesari and Maratha. This Kesari was in Marathi and Maratha was this. It is Tilak for the first time introduced Karl Marx to this country. I have published an article in this in EPW. Now it's quoted by all Marxists here also. See, right? It is he who introduced it, trade union movement.
Who brings Karl Marx to the journals of...
Yes, that's to notice. You see, it is he, Karl Marx, Communist Manifesto came out in the year 1848, earlier. But Tilak's paper started in 81. In Maratha, he brought a number of articles which he published where name of Karl Marx and class struggle appears. That's it. And that's why he was. That is the why British regarded him as enemy number one. In their secret papers, enemy number one of the British Raj. Once he is removed, others, they say, they are only satellites. Once he is removed, at any cost, they wanted to take him out. And for his two articles which were published in Kesari, he was sent to Mandalay jail. There. And this is not known much. Sitting there in the Mandalay jail, he wrote his Gitaras. And that thing he wrote in Marathi, his commentary on Bhagavad Gita. And the second one, which he wrote, was Vedic chronology, that was in English. And the superintendent of that jail was Captain P.K. Tarapur. He was well disposed towards him. So he allowed. He had to begin with, they were not giving. Then he had number of books there, almost 500 books in his cell. And he wrote. And before he was released from the jail, I must say, it is the credit of Captain P.K. Tarapur. He wrote to the British government, said, what should I do? He has written two. One is Vedic chronology, another is this. Gitaras. And then he said, in the next letter he writes, why don't you hold it back? Once he is a free man, he will be able to write it again. Give it. He was given dumb. He was said, don't be insolent. Listen to the orders. Gita is the textbook for mental training of revolutionary recruits. It cannot be given. Send it by registered post. In fact, Deputy Director General of Police was sent there to bring that book. And that book was sent to another Parsi gentleman, but he had a command over Marathi and Sanskrit. His name was...
So we'll come to the question of that what revolutionaries were writing that time, what Dalit movement was actually observing, what is contribution of Jyotiba Phule and other icons, and how Gandhi helped shape the Indian journalism and media that time after the break. Professor Naik, we'd like to understand the role of Dalit movements and the revolutionary movement in shaping the Indian media.
Dalit movement really takes off. First, Dado Pandurang wrote a book, Dharma Vivechan, in which he enunciated 7 principles, right? Which said all mankind, humankind, is one caste. And all should be united in one God, and there should not be any invidious distinction between man and between man and woman. This was Dado Pandurang said as early in 1841-43, right, during that period. And he started also movement, Manav Dharma Sabha, Paramav Sabha. Out of that emerged two major movements. One Pratna Samaj, another was Satyashodhak Samaj of Mahatma Jyotirao Phule. And first four graduates of Bombay University all became Pratna Samajists. Mahadev Govind Ranade, Ramakrishna Gopal Bhandarkar, Bal Mangesh Wagale, and Mama Navaji Modak. These are the first four women graduates of University of Bombay, now University of Mumbai, came into being on 18th of July, 1857, and first graduate came in 1862. And these four graduates, all of them became Pratna Samajists, and they became great leaders. But I need not tell you, most competent. Justice Ranade was, even he coined the phrase Indian National Congress. And he also started, along with that, Indian National Conference. That's right? Indian National Social Conference. Indian National, because you, only one side no. You must also create a new life, a new society. The social reform was also needed. Not merely freedom would not do. See?
Definitely, and
not only,
both of them are raising
no, not only Swaraj, but also Suraj. Both should be there, na? Without that, no meaning. Mere freedom.
Exactly, and the same bargain is by the revolutionaries also.
That is it. That is the reason. And the greatest revolutionary we had to begin with, social, was Mahatma Jyotirao Phule. Right? It has been said, but his writings can be compared to a wild fruit, perhaps not very juicy, but full of medicinal qualities. Right? This Jyotirao Phule is the man who was the first, probably in the old world, to say that women should have equal right, even more rights. Psychologically, you want to make a point, then you even exaggerate it. Yes, equal right, first to say. And he educated it against overwhelming odds. He educated his own wife.
And he started from home, and that also became a
now Pune University is named after
Savitribai Phule.
Savitribai Phule. My God, what a woman. See? She was taught, made a teacher, because you couldn't get teacher to do that. See? And he was, Mahatma Phule was truly a friend of the poorest, the loneliest, and the lost.
At the same time, sir, revolutionary forces are also talking about the social reform in this country. Not only the freedom, and be it Ganesh Shankar Vidyarthi or Bhagat Singh or the people from the other party.
Bhagat Singh was later, but Bhagat Singh was the socialist. He wanted social reform very much, very, very much. Indeed, so much so later people were not, almost a Gandhian in his approach. He wanted India to be, he was a first-rate revolutionary, one of the greatest revolutionaries. Now, really, revolutionary tradition also starts from Maharashtra. First was Vasudev Balwant Phadke. He also wanted social reform. In that way, they were doing it. A whole lot of them were also wanted to bring about a social reform. But they had priorities, at least. Was the first, this, even Tilak. Once we become master of our own country, we will do what we like. First, we must see this yoke of foreign imperialism must be thrown off. We should be masters of our own, and then we do what we like. Some others were saying simultaneously we should have both. Right? Some of them were doing. One of the greatest revolutionaries was, of course, our Bhagat Singh. Real saint.
And his writing, like Gandhi is writing in his journals and other journals. At the same time, Bhagat Singh is also writing with multiple names, nicknames.
Pseudonyms they were used to write, you see. Under various names he has written, see, why I am an atheist. Professor Bipin Chandra, who is one of the acknowledged authority of Indian nationalism, come out with and original book of his, first book, The Rise and Growth of Economic Nationalism, is a classic. He also has written one Bhagat Singh autobiography, and there he writes that why I am an atheist. He was also not only a freedom fighter, but also a fighter for human rights.
How you see these other centers, like along with Mumbai, there are things happening in terms of writing and publishing and standing for the freedom. It is happening in Punjab, in Jalandhar and Lahore. At the same time, it is happening in Benares, and then it is happening in Kolkata as well. So how you see these things?
That is the reason why Indian National Congress was founded, to bring all this on one platform.
Streams together.
Come together. And for that, Indian National Congress was founded in 1885, and Justice Gandhi immediately adjunct to it was the Indian National Social Conference. Sir, they used to be held, meetings were held on the same pandal. And that was the distance of Justice Mahadev Govind Rande, as I have told you, humanize, equalize, spiritualize was his. That this must be, freedom must come, and along with that freedom must come also this social justice to the people. Vast majority of the people were not given that freedom, isn't that? That's why justice is the most important in our constitution preamble. Justice, social, political, economic, which was denied to vast majority of people, particularly women were excluded. I have told you, first 4 graduates of Bombay University were male. Rande, Bhandarkar, Bagale, Modak. No woman graduate. No woman was allowed to appear for matriculation examination. A postmaster's daughters on Feroz applied. They said, no, we cannot do anything about it. And then Bombay University refers to Calcutta University. They did not answer at all. They kept it on the file, the letter. What is to be done? After a long hesitation, only in 1888, the first woman graduate came out of Bombay University, and that is Cornelia Sorabji. Only one girl was there in Deccan College out of 300 students. And first woman graduate was coming out in 1888. That's it.
How you see Gandhi's role in developing the mass media?
Gandhi conquered 2 greatest enemies of mankind, Mahatma. And that is, one is malice, other is fear. Malice towards none. He said, malice, if you try to fight malice with evil, it multiplies. You must fight evil with good. And he gave us a formula, there cannot be oppression unless there is oppressor and oppressed cooperate with each other. Refuse to cooperate with the oppressor, right? And other, he removed fear in the minds. Once he removed the fear, British could do nothing. Their bayonets, how many people will they kill? A Babu Ganu would say, run the truck over me. He would sleep there. They couldn't care less, you see. When he took out the satyagrahis, that's exactly what Gandhiji did. By doing that, he absolutely, that's why after Gandhiji's assassination took place, see, Pearl Buck said, this is second crucifixion. American Secretary of State said that he was truly spokesman of the conscience of the whole mankind, right? Now, and British, whose empire he liquidated by peaceful means through ahimsa and his satyagraha. This man, he also, he gave in the Security Council a speech, British representative. He said, Gandhi was a friend of the poorest, the loneliest, and the lost. And his greatest achievements are still to come. At that time, he said, his greatest achievements, and you know what greatest scientific mind Albert Einstein had said about Mahatma Gandhi. He said, future generations will scarce believe such a man in blood and this stored on this earth. See, then that's right. Gandhiji told us, if you want to have just an equitable society, we must learn this. In every school, every college, they must display this. He said, you must not commit deadly 7 social sins. What are they? 1, politics without principles. 2, commerce without morality. 3, wealth without work. 4, education without character. 5, science without humanity. 6, pleasure without conscience. And 7, worship without sacrifice. If you do not commit these 7 social sins, you will have just and equitable social order.
And all seven remain relevant for the media,
Everyone.
for the making of society, and as the challenge of our modern time. Professor J.V. Naik, it was a pleasure talking to you. And for more updates and programs on Indian History Congress, please keep watching Rajya Sabha TV.